All right, we just went live. I should have warned you guys. Sorry.
Okay.
Hi, everybody.
Yeah, it looked like Brian Charleboy kind of disappeared on us.
No,
Oh, he's back. He's back.
I disappeared for a
there you
minute. I'm back,
Yeah.
I think.
Hey, my
Yeah,
uncle's
you're back
on.
now.
And device is not connected. Oh, here we go. Tom.
Is this your uncle?
Yes. Tom, can you hear us?
Yes, I can. Just let.
Oh, okay. Oh, he'll be back in a second. He's fiddling with. It says right now. Oh, here we go. Hold on. Okay, we're back. Oh.
Then
How about
again,
now?
I'm using Bader's phone, Bader's PC, but looks like there is no camera, so I really apologize.
Oh, that's okay.
Yeah, we can work without seeing you. That's all right.
Sure, that's fine.
It works better with seeing your face or whatever. But
I'm not as nice as you, but I mean I'm fine. I'm okay.
So,
okay. Let me say real quick. So this meeting is to this one, because Tom is on here, is to help us see if what we're understanding about the tech issues are accurate, because none of us are real tech people except for Tom. And but also you know, so we have to explain the system to you a little bit, and then, you know, while we're doing that, if you want to ask questions to learn more about it, that's fine too. So we prepared a document explaining all the stuff that we think you need to hear from us. Let me put that on the screen. Let me find it first. Okay. Share now.
did you send this to him prior, or is he just?
No, Tom hasn't seen it yet. We're going to explain it all right now.
Okay.
Here it is.
Sure.
Let me try to make this bigger.
It's yeah.
Okay. Tom, you heard a little bit about this over the phone from me, right?
Right.
Do you have any questions, or do you want us to start talking?
Just you can start talking. No, I'm fine.
Okay. So it's a database of opinions, and I just started writing. What? What is it, Brian?
I lost you guys for a minute, but you're back now.
Oh, okay.
I just mentioned that I lost you guys for a minute.
Oh,
but you're
okay.
You're having a terrible connection here.
There's three types of users, I guess. Registered with us and they're public. Registered with us, but they're anonymous to everyone else. And then not registered, and that's like saying it's double anonymous.
Mm-hmm.
And you know, Brian, I already have a question about this. I thought of this last night.
Okay.
Do people get to put an anonymous, like a fake name for themselves? And then, but there's no way to keep track of what that name is. Do we want names if it's anonymous?
I
was thinking no. When I was thinking about it, I was thinking no.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, probably not. I mean, if they're staying anonymous, I guess it doesn't really matter too much if they want to use some kind of, you know, fake name or something like that. Either way, we'll know they're anonymous.
Yeah.
You know, people that work anonymously may want to still associate themselves with their opinion without telling us who they are, but that we know that.
Like suppose somebody called themselves Zodiac.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
I was watching that yesterday. Zodiac is a serial killer guy.
Yes.
So if somebody names themselves Zodiac and it's anonymous and they're not worried about, you know, getting in trouble, and let's say they start saying really bad things that Zodiac type person would be saying.
Yeah. Well, the real problem for them though is that if they use a certain name, somebody else can use that name too.
Yes, exactly. Yes.
Pretend that they're the Zodiac person.
Which is what makes me think maybe we shouldn't have the names at all if you're anonymous.
Yeah, that's kind of it's something that we don't really need to work out right now. But
yeah, definitely not. So let's move on to the next point.
yeah,
I mean, I have an option.
Sure.
I mean, it's up to you. By the way, it's you can store the IP address of that guy as a unique identifier, to that record if you want to.
Yeah, well,
Yeah,
we
but
don't, but we don't want to because we want to give them the option of staying anonymous. So, if they
But we
want to be
still-
anonymous, we don't want to do anything to reveal who they are.
Yeah, this one would be the one where we are
Yeah.
registering their IP, I guess.
That's right. That's right.
The problem we've got with the double anonymous on that theory, though, you're dealing with that. We've got to be able to take proper action should they go into doxing or something like that.
Well, the only thing we can do is delete that one comment because there's no way to associate it with any of the other comments.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. We do expect that. That's about the only thing that we want to be doing any deleting or any editing on at all is the stuff that people are doxing people on. So,
so that's the next point here.
Yeah, our biggest thing is to keep everything as open as we can, and not do any kind of altering of the opinions people give us, unless there's doxing going on. That is the only exception that we're at this point that we think where we'll have to intervene or remove material.
We had a couple more
but if
items,
they keep
but yeah.
if it's the same IP address and they're constantly going in and doing it over and over again, then we need to look at being able to ban the IP address to prevent further doxing because that's all they're doing. We've got to have that security in.
Is there any reason not
place.
to record the IP address?
I mean, everything records IP addresses anyway.
So I say we record it, but there's an easy way to get around it. It's a VPN, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, but at least we are stopping people that don't know how to use a VPN.
Right.
Okay. So let's move on to the next. Did you have any more to say, Tahir, about that? Or
No, that's good.
Okay. So here's what it means to make a submission, a comment. All it is a text field. There's no video, nothing else, no images. Yeah. Of course, the text field could contain links.
We're
not really. Sorry.
That's little dangerous. The link could take you to a scam or something, or virus, or
which the whole world is dealing with.
We need to. I don't think links would be a good thing.
Well, we really need to. We have to be able to add links. There's just too much. It would take too long for someone to explain what their opinion is relating to without links. I don't see a way to get around it right now. We deal with that stuff already. And then the other added layer of security in this regard is that most of our opinions, we will know who they're from. Because of the way this thing is set up. I mean, I've mentioned this several times that if I'm looking for a restaurant and I'm not going to look at anonymous opinions if I can get opinions that have some data that come with them, because the ones where people identify themselves are going to have a higher value opinion to me. So anonymous opinions are only going to get traction in very specific scenarios where like it's about China or something where people are worried about staying anonymous.
Basically there is no one doing it in the registered way.
Yeah. So the point I'm trying to make is that people, for the majority of opinions, I think most people will want to have some kind of data, and we'll be able to tell who they are. The first layer of anonymous, maybe, where we know who they are. And so anyway, they're going to be worried about their long-term image on our system. And so, they're not going to put nefarious links on there because that's a record that we know that they did this in the past. And therefore, we're not going to put much value to their opinions in the future if they're always lying to people and deceiving them and things like this. They're going to get labeled.
I have a dumb question now. So if somebody's a registered user and then let's say they ruined their account, and now they want to have another account and it's registered, would they be able to do that?
No.
I mean, unless we track it.
So the answer is no, because it's you, and you can't have a second one.
No, you can't. And you know, you can make a second account where you're anonymous, so you're in the same position. So yeah, people. I mean, you're going to be riding on your reputation here. So, yeah, I mean, we can't just have people restarting new accounts as if.
Wait, that means somebody could make 20 of his own registered and anonymous accounts and use them all simultaneously.
Yes.
The problem they can't do fake ones like Facebook. Let's say he has 5 different emails and he put his name.
Yeah. Do we want to avoid that? I think we should want to avoid that.
Yeah, well, we're going to have to try. I don't know how we're going to register people yet. That's a whole other deal, and people have brought this up with me.
Well, Tom was already thinking about it, I'm sure. But
yeah, you know, like certain institutions though deal with this all the time. Like a bank has to make sure that you're the right person, and that you know.
Yeah, and they're using your ID for that.
Yeah, well, we may have to use ID. We might have to use ID to register people. We have to have some method of making sure that the people are who they say they are.
Okay, so for the registered and anonymous, we can still make it since it's registered and we're getting their ID. It's one person, one account. Yeah. You can't have a second one.
No, there's no second accounts. No. I want to point out one other thing though. People make mistakes in their lives, and this is a big part of how we have to grow as a society, is to learn how to deal with people that make mistakes in the past. And you know, we're all judging them all the time, and we need to be better judges, because right now we're far too harsh generally on people, and we judge them very harshly, and we're not very sympathetic to their position that they're in or the reasons why they may have lied in the past. And I think as our society, this is a part of how we need to grow as a society, is how to allow people back into our society when they have done things that make us not want them in our society. And
so is there like a time limit? Let's say you fucked up your account, we banned you or whatever, but let's say 5 years later you have an automatic, you get to come back in.
This is where we may have to set up some kind of a judicial system within our system. Right, where we are judging people to you know, if somebody is being really bad on our system, and we actually have to, like, I think it'll have to be extreme case that we actually ban somebody.
I think one doxing instance is enough to ban someone. What do you think?
No, I don't think so.
Really, bigger than that?
I think we'd have to, or you know, some penalty maybe, but a penalty, and eventually they get back on. We always have to have a way.
And the penalty might be something like well, you can't use it for a year.
Yeah, maybe. Yeah.
So, nothing is like forever banned. There's only a temporary ban.
Yeah, I don't think we ever want to ban anybody permanently. Like I said, we're trying to create a world here that is centered around forgiveness. We all need forgiveness at certain times in our lives, right? And this is going to be a very public platform that people are going to really screw up their own image. Like, they're going to make big mistakes, right? But we want to create a world where there's always a way that they can be redeemed, you know, and if they want to be, if they want to put in the effort, right? So
it might be involving other users of KAOS in that decision making, right?
Oh yeah. Well, this is what I'm saying. Where we'll probably have to put together some kind of judicial system made up of of us, the people that are using it, and where we keep changing these people out, and we keep electing new people to be in that judicial system, and very similar to the legal systems that America or various countries use, and try to loosely base it off of that. But everybody in that judicial system is an elected position. We nominate people, and then everything will be out in the open as well. so that if there's a large user base, I think that a bad decision was made, it can be looked at and gone over again, you know? So,
So
anyway.
our judges are elected.
Yes, our judges will be elected with the system that we have. Yeah. So that's
Okay.
that will evolve anything like if we, banning people or
Let's say one more thing. Can we say
Yeah.
that the judges cannot be what do we call ourselves in this system? Like we're the contributors right now. We're like the ones operating the system. I think maybe the judges should not be us.
No, they should not. They should be
No, I
regular
agree with that
users.
completely.
Should only be users.
And eventually, when this thing gets going, I mean, we're going to have the people that are running the database should be pretty minimal. I don't think we need a very big staff to do this, but whoever's running that staff, at least the person running it for sure, will be an elected position as well. But I don't think we want to make them a judge within the system. We'll probably use other people for those positions.
Yeah,
right?
yeah. In a sense, all of us are elected. I mean, technically, we started without elections, but we can be removed with elections and replaced with elections, and
that's right,
including the founder Brian C.
Yeah, that's right. Yes, absolutely. Yeah,
everybody's the target.
There is something. Yeah, go ahead. I'm sorry.
I just want to mention that. I mean, a big part of this thing is the fact that no one person should ever have that kind of power. You know, we're trying to create a world where power is more disseminated amongst all of us, and there's less, top power people, and so what do they call it? Less centralized power, right? So that's what we're fighting is centralized power here. We're trying to give the everyday people more power and less individuals with overwhelming power over our society. So anyway, so that that's why there's not going to be a main leader or anything. Everything has to be elected, right? So I don't know. Am I clear with that? Or
I think so.
You're clear, but I have to mention something technical here.
Okay.
Like lots of states, including Illinois, restrict the storage of information obtained by the driver's license or something under the huge big penalty. So unless if we're gonna store the data in AWS or one of the big platform, where we put the data, this data should be encrypted, and it's extremely expensive for that type of fields, to store them. So just FYI, if we're gonna ask the user when he registered to scan his driver's license or passport or something or ID, this is not an easy way. I mean,
so that's beyond what we know, but that's good you're telling us. It's very expensive, you're saying.
Yeah, because if you store a regular database, they call it, I don't know, they call it like one. They call it stage 1 or category 1 is way cheaper than category 2, which is secure data like social security or driver's license number or name or stuff like that.
Yeah,
unless you store the driver's license ID without if it's not associated with the real name, it's fine. But if you put the driver license and name and address and all of that, every field you add is going to be more and more expensive. And
can you give us an idea of what you mean by more expensive? Because I really don't know, like, how much money that means.
I believe. Oh, that's a big question. Honestly,
of course, it depends on the amount of users and amount of data. But
yeah,
do you mean something like stage 2 is 10x more expensive than stage 1?
No, I think like 3 times more expensive, or
3 times,
3 times, okay. 4 times. Yeah, I mean, double.
So are you saying like the entire architecture of the system that we're spending on every month, if it was stage 3, it's 3 times more expensive than stage 1?
Yeah, that's exactly right.
Okay.
Yeah. Okay. We'll have to talk later about what that even means now.
Has anybody ever are there any systems out there that rely on other users to verify other users? So, in other words, like a recommendation system. So somebody
There
can't
is.
join our system, and how secure do you feel that kind of a system is?
There are lots of system, you know, that you can like do like background check, and it's reasonable, you know, price, not like, but I'm not sure how reliable they are since all of them are private. So I use it myself when I have some tenant try to rent like my property, but
Yeah.
it's not I mean, I have like some bad experience last time with the system gave me green, and the lady who rented this was extreme. I mean, she damaged the apartment and left, and she and I found
Cost you more in the long run.
locally that she has a record in the public record. So I was wondering how the system gave me green and she has like a shoplifting.
A
So
random
something.
number generator.
So I don't yeah. So I don't trust those much, you know, to be honest.
When it comes to those random background checks like that, usually they're looking for felonies. They're not looking for misdemeanors.
Oh, I see.
Is that a service that was offered to you to verify people and see if they're
Yeah, he's
safe?
paying a monthly service, I guess.
It depends if you're gonna see the real record, you know, it depends. Like I'm in McLean County, this is free. You can easily hook the user or the whoever name and first name, last name, and that book give you a list of all of them and with every very clear.
Yeah.
Peoria, I think it's not free. I don't know. I couldn't do that in Peoria, but in Bloomington, Illinois, it's easy.
Yeah. Well, there might have been ads or something that they make their money on or something. Eh?
Yeah, you're right.
All right, so
Yeah,
can we go to the next topic?
Yeah, sure. Yeah, please.
So we were thinking we don't want to limit the amount of text that a field can handle.
Yeah.
Let it be whatever the biggest thing is. But then I thought, Tom, is that something that people can use to abuse our system? Imagine somebody just dumps the hugest amount of text that they could put in there just to slow down our system and break it.
You can. Yeah, that's true. I suggest having, you know, the normal number they put for that is 8K, 8,000 byte, the maximum. That will like average size where they can't slow down the system. At the same time, it's big enough to put a lot. If you want to add
how many characters is that?
Yeah. Is that like a couple of paragraphs, few pages?
Eight. Think about every letter is a byte, so this is like 8,000 character. But I mean, roughly, I'm just saying.
Yeah.
That's very small, isn't it? That's very small.
8,000
sounds
like
a Reddit post with paragraphs and that.
Hold on. What if I want to, like, can I? Are we saying we want to upload? Let's say I want to put an essay. Can I do that? And then I got to tell you how long my essays are.
Yeah.
Uploading files is different than.
Well, we're not uploading files, right? So it's just text. But if I take all the text from my essay and put it in as an opinion, then I'll tell you how long one of my essays is.
You can, but I mean, you can put as I mean.
Well, remember.
Yeah, go ahead.
Yeah, you can always link too. You know, if we're going
29,000 characters. One of my essays.
How long? I mean, how
29,000 characters.
29,000. So maybe you allow, I don't know if you will allow users to upload documents in certain type like PDF or.
Well, what's the advantage of uploading a document versus just copy pasting the text?
Or a link, add a link.
I will tell you the difference. If you have a column in the database that 8K, you can use it. You can search and you can index that column. So when you search, it's
and if you put a document, you can't index it and it cannot be searched
right.
through.
Right.
But we want the heavy searching ability, right?
That's right. Yeah.
So I mean, we can put we can increase the size of the.
What's the next size that makes sense after the normal max 8K?
I mean, you can put something like every database has their own column, but you can put something called bytes or byte array, and that will be unlimited. You can put whatever you want.
Okay, but then we're back to somebody could abuse our system by dumping a unlimited amount of data or a huge amount that breaks our system. So we still kind of need a limit.
Yeah, we still need something called we can't specify the maximum size.
So maybe we say something like 50K,
something like that. We will put like an average. Yeah, 50K, 40K. They have something called binary. It depends on
the point is 50K won't break our system, right? That's
right.
Nothing.
No. Yeah, wouldn't.
Brian C, you're okay with that? Like it's large enough to put.
Yeah.
We should make it like large enough for anyone who made the largest essay could fit it there.
Yeah, like I said,
we don't want to put books in there, right? We don't want book length.
No, we don't, and nobody's going to read that stuff. In your opinion, I mean, if you're not very, if you don't keep it to a reasonable amount, people are just not going to read your data, and you're not going to.
Then maybe we should encourage using it better by having a small limit. Like Twitter does 280 characters. They're encouraging you make it small.
Well, I'd like to have it a fair size, but at the same time, they can always add a link. If they want to write an essay and put it on Substack or something and then add a link. There's lots of other abilities for them to put much more data if they want to in that way.
See, what I've come across a lot is like a 10,000K text field, which would be about 10,000 characters. And anything beyond that, they need to have a link going to where they're getting their information from. To their essay or something like that, so you can read.
Maybe the 8K is good then.
Yeah.
Yeah, you basically wanted to have a summary for them. Okay, this guy's got some information. He's got a link here for me to read more on this that he wrote up. I can go over it and read it.
Okay.
It's still going to be indexable because the spider's going to hit that link and go and index.
Whatever we choose, it's extremely easy to switch it to another thing, right, Tom?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Okay,
so easy.
It's not a big deal, whatever we choose in the beginning.
Right. Unless you want to ask them to. I mean, there is a way you ask them about something called cited references, which is, it's not a real link, but they have to. I'm not sure if everyone has that ability to do it, but there is unless we put some instruction, if you want to add a link, go to the cited reference generator. It's free, and they can put the URL, and the generator will build something called MLA, or there are lots of formats for that. And
are you saying about following a standardized formatting for adding citations?
Yeah.
And is that something we have to build into the system, or it's something we can just explain and let them follow?
No, we give them just a text box. Paste your link in here, and the link they have.
So I think I'm understanding now. So if I'm understanding this right, a submission can have multiple links, and each link is contained within its own field.
Yeah, exactly. And then when they paste it, the application itself will build the MLA or whatever. We decide which format, citation reference, and that will be safer to our system.
Safer than the alternative. What's the alternative?
Than putting the link itself
in the field.
In the field.
Oh, so this is protecting us in a way, not allowing links in the regular field, but still allowing it as a field within a field.
Yeah, right.
Okay.
and we can use a bot to travel those links to verify if they're a good link or not.
Right.
Well,
I
at least
mean,
maybe to tag if it might be.
or if you want to have it like more sophisticated and make it like better, even if they paste a link inside the text box, a process will scan this later when we store it and send that you whenever it detect a URL, it send it to get that citation and put it back if it's safe, or just cross the whole link that is unsafe or something like that. Honestly, this is like very, I don't like to go to that deep in details, but maybe that will be maybe round 2 when we accept the general items here. I'm sorry, I don't like to interrupt every line.
No,
but
this is okay.
yeah,
This is
we're
perfectly
just
fine the way it's happening.
yeah.
Yeah, but you're suggesting maybe adding links and the extra field concept is a second generation of our system.
Yeah, because adding link is extremely dangerous. I know that it's even if regardless what database you're using, even if it's safe data. Let's say you're using, definitely we're gonna use something called CouchDB, but even if you use standard database, they may have something called SQL injection and can steal your database. Someone pass a script to that link and steal your database. This is not a joke at all. Store all our database.
I didn't understand. I'm guessing the other guys didn't understand either.
Well, I think you're talking about like the scams you get when somebody sends you an email or sends you a text
Yeah,
that says
something like
click,
that.
click the link and to retrieve
It downloads your computer.
Yeah.
That's
yeah,
exactly right. Right.
Yeah.
You're telling me somebody can make a link, and if any user clicks on it, they're able to grab all our data from our whole website?
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
but we don't see that kind of thing happening, like let's say on Reddit. Somebody puts a link on Reddit. I've never had an issue with that. How come that's not a problem there?
Reddit, because as I said first, Reddit, they have a process. When you put the link, they do a background check for that link automatically. You don't feel it, but they do it. So if you try to paste a bad link in Reddit and come back to the same, you will see that they cross that.
And what are they counting as a bad link? How do they judge
scam, unauthorized.
So they're keeping their own database of scam websites, and if your link is on their list of scam websites, then they block it.
Yeah, exactly. Or you have a subscription with McAfee or one of these.
Right. And they can add extra things, right? That's the same concept of when a school blocks porn websites. It's the same concept.
Exactly. And by the way, we can do it ourselves, but I'm not sure what's our budget in here. But you can pass that link to McAfee or pass the whole text to McAfee. Will send you if it's good or bad.
Well, it sounds like something we'll have to do, just like Reddit does or any of the other sites.
Yeah.
Well, here's the thing: if we don't do it in Generation 1 of KAOS, does that mean we won't be allowing links in Generation 1?
Unless you're gonna risk it.
I think we need to do it.
So it sounds like we have to do it in Generation 1.
Yeah. Yes.
Because it doesn't make sense to do this without links, it sounds like.
That's what I think, yeah.
Okay, next thing.
Yeah.
The way we're thinking about this, and this is coming from Brian C., the founder who came up with all this stuff. He's been thinking about this for 40 years, by the way. We don't want any kind of control. And one way that all these existing systems control the data is by, for example, putting in categorizations and tagging. And of course, the system itself is controlling all of that. And in effect, it's used as a way, whether it's intentional or not, to hide some data or prioritize other data or opinions. So we're thinking no categorizations, no tagging. But on the user's end, users will have their own AI bots, and those things can tag or categorize or anything else.
Yeah.
Is that something that makes sense, Tom?
I think so, yeah.
Technically, I mean?
Yeah.
Yeah. From my understanding, the storage of data does not require it to be categorized or anything. Like the internet is not in any specific order, but the Google search engine puts it in order for its own use. But the data is just out there. And so that's basically the way I foresee our system is just a big database of data that's not sorted in any way. And people's search engines or their bots, that's the system that does the sorting and stuff like that of the data. So we're not involved with it.
So, by the way, there is one kind of sorting that's happening by the nature of the system, which is if somebody puts in a submission and then I want to reply to that submission to give my alternative opinion.
Yeah.
Both our submissions are in the system independently, but also mine is a reply to his. So
but but it's not really nested. It's just there's a connection there because you'll have a link.
Mine exists on its own, and also it's nested within the other one.
Yeah.
Well, there's no physical thing going on where they're placed next to one another or anything like that. It's just that your search engine or your bot is going to relate one to the other, right? So
it has something called that we call it foreign key. So that record, the original submission has an ID. I mean, 1, 2, 3, 4. It's just dummy ID, and the answer or the reply to that, it has something called parent ID, which shows with the parent of that answer or reply.
Yeah, that's what I was envisioning, but I think Brian C just said something opposite of that. And he was saying our system wouldn't record that, but I think it should, because
it's just a number just to share. Otherwise,
I mean just the basic point. Somebody puts in a submission, an opinion, and I want my submission to be a reply to that, and I want everyone to know that, and I don't want their stupid AI bot to be confused about it.
Yeah, it's so hard. It's impossible to know that.
You gotta have the submission ID and the parent ID to make this work.
What is it?
You gotta have the submission ID and the parent ID to make this work. You've got to have that connection.
Yeah.
But then otherwise you're just off out in outer space.
Yeah. So you wouldn't have more than one parent ID. You wouldn't say my submission is a reply to both of these two opinions.
Yeah, it's many to many, like recursive.
Oh, you want many to many?
Yeah, I think many to many. Yeah, if I'm understanding this correctly.
So that's like saying I want to put in opinion that is a reply to 50 other opinions.
Yeah, exactly.
It could be depending on the scenario.
That's even better than I was thinking. Then many to many relationship between the ID and parent ID. Okay.
Yes. So I don't really call that you're categorizing anything, or the opinions relate to other opinions.
Well, the point is the system itself didn't decide the category. The user did when he said so. Yeah.
Right.
Yes. Absolutely. Yes. Yeah. And that's part of your opinion is the fact that you're relating it to another opinion.
Yes.
Right. So that data you're giving us, and so we take that. Yeah.
Meaning the reply could have multiple parent, or the parent could have multiple replies. Okay, go ahead.
Yeah.
The parent could have multiple replies, but they would by the same person or different people. Yeah.
But in the concept, like the concept of this thing is that all these opinions are not sorted by us in any way, and they are just kind of a big jumble of opinions that are then sorted by other people's AI bots and their search engines whatever they decide to use. So anyway, that as a concept that does work, right? That we can state that we're not doing anything to these opinions; they are just a big pile of opinions, right? Yeah. Okay. I just want to make sure that sounds good and that makes sense.
Technically speaking, you mean too, right?
Yeah. Technically speaking, specifically technically speaking, yeah.
Okay, you guys want to go to the next point?
Yeah.
Sure.
Okay.
So the submissions, when you put in a submission, it is effectively voting for your own opinion.
Yeah.
And then other people can then vote for that opinion you just made.
Yeah.
which would be the second vote for it.
Yes. Now
And
you
so
can
on.
and you can remove your opinion. So in other words, there could be an opinion in our system with no votes because you place it in when you first put it in. You kind of have to have your vote on it, but you can come back later and remove it if you've changed your opinion.
Yeah, but to be clear, you cannot delete an opinion, but
Yeah.
you can remove your vote from that opinion. But also, all the votes that have ever been made get recorded in a history.
Yeah.
So whatever you did in the past is still can be seen.
Yes.
But at least we can know that you changed your mind.
That's right. Yes, and you can also add a link to a new opinion you may have on that subject. Right.
Wait. Explain that more.
Well,
You're
if you
saying
change,
if I wrote opinion in the past,
yeah,
and then I changed my mind about it and removed my vote, I can also reply again to it and say, "Here's my new opinion" with a link.
That's right. Yes, exactly. So that people know what you're thinking now.
And that sounds like it's already built into all this, though, right?
Yeah, I think so.
And Rami, just a quick question. I'm sorry, I don't know the exact business here, so I apologize. But the opinion is, or the vote is always positive or could be negative?
That's a good question.
I never thought about that.
Yeah, I have. I've thought about this, and I'm not quite positive. I was kind of hoping to get some more feedback from other people. I think that we should just have upvotes. One, the way I was talking about, we're going to have a vote that it depends on how you want to look at, but basically one vote on each opinion, but that you can divide it. So I could put like 1/4 of a vote or 1/3 of a vote on one opinion, so I can vote on. It's like ranked choice voting.
Ranked choice voting.
Yeah, so that there might be one person's opinion I like the most, but if everybody's liking another opinion, I want to give that one some power to and say I will accept that, but I like this one better.
So effectively, you are doing a negative voting by positive voting all the other ones.
I don't know. I still don't think that's the same as negative voting. Anyway,
it's partially effectively the same. What I mean is we don't need negative voting because it's sort of already built into our positive voting.
That's kind of how I look at it. Yeah. Because you have the option of ranked choice voting, so you can set so what the lowest thing is the thing you didn't vote on at all. Right?
Similarly, in when we elect our president, and even in the ranked choice version of this, there's no negative voting. You can't just say, I don't want that guy to win.
Yeah.
No, I mean, I thought here it's not like, I thought you wrote an opinion. Maybe I'll be natural saying 0. I don't know if I unless I'm not understanding the whole business here.
Have
when
you
I
ever
say
done...
10 means I love this, whatever you wrote. 0 means I'm fine. But when I say -10 means I hate this. It's bad to me. But again,
I mean, in one scenario, and we have like the way Brian C explained it to us earlier was, you could, if you wanted, put your whole vote on one opinion, or you can divide up your vote into multiple in, let's say, tenths, so you could have up to 10 ranked choice. And so the first one, wait, why does this say 0? So let's say you put your vote on 10 things, but they're ranked. So the first one matters more than the second one, which matters more than the third one, and so on.
I see. Okay. I see. Yeah, makes sense.
And it's always better to just use examples. So let's say we're talking about a election, okay, of a president, and there's 3 there's let's say 3 candidates.
Yeah.
And I say I want candidate 1 to be my first choice, candidate 2 to be my second choice, and I'm not even going to put a third choice.
Yeah, and that's
or you could do all 3, or you could do just the 1.
Yeah. So
now the basic question for me is, what if you saw your third choice to be way less than your first choice? How do you build that into it more than just 1, 2, 3?
Well, that's why I was talking about up to 10. So, you could just put like a 1/10 of a vote on one and put 90% on another.
Okay. Now, but then the question is, when it comes to matters that have a lot of potential opinions, I wonder if the dividing up into 10 is not enough.
Well, I think we have to have a limit, but
We do. We should for sure. Yes, we can't go infinity. But yeah,
What
and
I
maybe but then I wonder, can this even be changed easily? If we start with 10, can later we change to a 20, and would that be too hard to change, or would it be expensive?
What we could do is a similar situation. You know how on the surveys you've got your rank scale of 0 through 10. You know, I like, I don't like.
Yeah.
We could use a similar scale system, but have that be changeable. You know, instead of just being a vote and it locks it in, it keeps that up there on your display so you can go down and change it.
Yeah. Oh, I expect people to change that if there are things in their life change.
I don't know what you're saying, Tom. Do you know what he's saying?
What I'm getting at is like you're looking at the opinions, and you see your opinion, and you see somebody else's opinion, and their opinion makes more sense than yours does, and you want to downvote yours. So like that little screen that has the 0 to 10 on the surveys where you see, you know, most like, don't like, things like that. You have that same setup, but instead of where it disappears and it's locked in your vote and whatnot, we have that set up where it shows up on your opinion that you've changed your own viewpoint on it.
Yeah.
As the OP, as the original poster. It's not that everybody else is seeing that everybody else has changed their opinion, but the original poster can see as well as change their opinion's voting structure.
Yeah.
So it looks like Brian C understands again. Tom, do you understand what he's saying?
Yeah, I see. Exactly.
You do? Okay.
Yeah. It's just his ability to adjust how much how much of a preference he's putting on a vote at any time. And he sees when he gets new information, he may want to change how he's voted in the past, right? Even on his own opinions, right? Yeah. So that seems pretty straightforward, I think, and not a problem. Also, I'd just like to ask, if we did want to allow people to divide up their vote to infinity, there wouldn't be any real reason we couldn't, would there?
You'd have to change.
Yeah, that breaks laws of physics, but we could go something near, you know, like, you know, we do decimal points, and you know, Tom, how deep? How many decimal points can we go?
I mean, you can go as deep as possible, but I think to be reasonable, you know, I don't think any vote, you know, on Earth take more than 0 to 100. So you don't have even to use decimal, you know, when you say vote from 0 to 100.
Let's think of real examples where it might be more than 100. Like, is there ever a I don't know, let's say somebody started, what's the best hamburger in the US?
Yeah.
Or in the world? You might have more than 100 contenders.
But I just can't see anybody spending the time doing that. Unless
for sure.
Unless
maybe somebody will, because I really like hamburgers.
Well, there will be somebody out there, but they'll write a book and they'll link to it, you know, about their 10,000 rankings of hamburgers, right?
Yeah.
So I don't see
stick hamburgers after that.
Anyway, still, let me say this again, and let me ask Tom. So whatever we choose in the beginning, let's say we choose tenths. Is it difficult to switch later to hundreds?
No, it's not difficult, but you have to write a script to do like a backward compatibility. It's compatible.
So there is a little bit of work of editing the old data. But that doesn't seem like a big deal.
Unless you
tenths to hundreds.
Yeah. It's not hard. You can change it anytime.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Next thing. So not only are the issues themselves we're voting on, but also we want to sort of vote. And maybe this is the wrong word. We want to sort of vote which of the issues are high priority for me and which ones are low. So let's do an example. So let's say, let's connect it to uniting the cults real quick. The big goal we have is to rid the world of apostasy laws, but there might be cases where I say, well, right now I want to prioritize free speech because fixing free speech will then fix my end goal, help towards it. So let's say right now I say highest priority is, and I mean highest priority for me, what I consider highest priority is getting rid of apostasy laws, but then later I might change it momentarily to say free speech is highest priority. And so in a sense, I'm putting a priority list ranking on which issues I think is important, which each issue then gets voted on. Is that making any sense, Tom?
Yeah, I see your point. I mean, yeah, makes sense. So I mean,
it's partly telling the world which issues are the most important according
Right.
to all the users.
Yeah,
I see. Yeah.
We
And-
could
and
do.
that- and- yeah.
Go ahead. Okay, we could do an average system on that, where it takes the averages based on the opinions and say, hey, this is what's been a top priority, and it gives a list of them in a corresponding order, highest to lowest.
And you can see that over time. That would look really cool.
And
Here's
then
the
you can
priorities
click
of
on
things
that.
in 2025, and now here's what it is in 2026.
Exactly.
Here's how people have changed their minds
Yeah.
Exactly.
about what they think is important.
Well,
Exactly.
more.
I like that idea.
It'll go faster than by the year, though. It'll
Yeah,
be
I know.
it'll be by the day or even by the hour.
But the way you might want to see it on a report
Yeah.
across 10 years is maybe one a year.
Yeah,
Well, you might
but we
want
could set up this. We could set up a similar system on a sidebar where they can see, well, this is the trending hot priorities right now that we are seeing in our system.
That's right, and I think that'll always be a hot topic. I suspect every day the news will give us an update of exactly what the whole world is most concerned about today. You know,
and now that's built into our system. It's not something the users and the AI bots are doing.
Right.
So we're telling the whole world what our users currently prioritize the most.
Right.
Yeah.
It doesn't have to be through. I mean, it's going to be pretty black and white information. So you know, it could be everybody's bots or their search engines will also come to these very same numbers, because it's a you know, at any given moment.
I might say, and with my AI bot, I don't really give a fuck what everyone else thinks the highest priority is. So ignore that when you're showing me data. I could say that to your AI bot.
Yeah, you
or
can do that.
An AI bot might say, no, I'm just going to show, you know, because that matters. I'm going to show all the priorities. Or I might do a little bit of both. I want to see what everyone's priorities are. And separately, I just want to look at it without the priorities everyone has set.
That's totally up to you. You know, you're able to do it any way you want. Yeah.
Yeah, I can set up a sidebar to be visible or hidden depending on your own selections.
Yeah. But I think like a news channel or something like that is just an interesting thing. Another thing that they're going to report on every day probably is what today's biggest priorities are according to the KAOS system, right? So
is that all that clear, Tom? Or can we go to the next topic?
Yeah, clear.
Okay, so I asked this question before, and the answer was, so is there an end date on the voting of anything? And the answer is no, they go on forever.
Yeah.
But since we're keeping a history, on the outside of KAOS, we can imagine our own end dates. You know, let's say there's a real election happening, and we're using KAOS for the voting about it, and then the election happens, and that's when you can pull the data. But then we get to see what happens afterwards. People change their minds, and we can see how people change their minds after the actual election happened.
That's right.
I think that any record in the database should be associated with a timestamp.
For sure.
And that's our guide to do the
history,
to see the progress of that's good. Okay.
Yeah.
And the timestamp will also be able to work towards doing, like I said, dealing with what the trending high priority items are in our list.
Right.
They'll use that timestamp like, oh, well, for today at this time, this has been a high priority based on KAOS users.
Right.
Whereas tomorrow it could be something totally different.
Yeah.
And it, like you said, it changes throughout the hour.
Yeah.
Hour, day, month, whatever it is.
Oh, sorry.
No, go ahead.
I was just going on the next thing if we were done.
I think so.
So this part isn't actually about KAOS. This is saying how users can use KAOS, where we're using our own AI bots, or even technically speaking, I can make a spreadsheet in Excel or something that has its own, I made my own data analysis tool, and I can hook into KAOS's data to do my own data analysis even without an AI bot. I mean, although those spreadsheets use AI shit, right? Don't they, Tom, now?
Yeah.
Yeah. So
Now,
maybe
by
no
the
one's
way,
really getting...
the Office 365, by the way, they merge their Copilot AI with the Excel. So whenever you hook your Excel with the data, Excel can, handle that for you.
Okay, so and the whole point of all this is, the old systems, the AI search bot is decided by the CEO of the company.
Yeah, this
And
all
that's
has to
what
do
we
with
don't
bias.
like.
Yeah,
That's what we're not liking about all of that.
Well,
So we want distributed decision making in the data analysis by letting users choose all that. And any user, let's say I want to use 10 AI bots, and I want to compare them against each other, because, by the way, they're all looking at the same data. So it's easier to see that one AI bot is biased against another one by seeing how they analyze the same exact data.
you said that very well. Yeah.
Is that all clear, Tom?
Yeah. So, but you're not gonna allow users. Are you gonna give user access to your data, all of your data?
I think the answer is yes.
Yes.
So that means we have to build our own port or API to.
Yes.
And that will be free, or you have to pay for that?
Well, let's talk about money for the moment. Let's sort of change subjects. Brian C., can you explain potentially how this thing can make money?
Okay. So, yeah, I at first, obviously, it's going to have to start from donation or a loan or something like that to get everything going. But this will generate, for example, all of our data is going to be available to everybody. There's no blocking of it to anybody. It's all available to everybody. So corporations and companies are going to use our data to help them figure out, and politicians to work out, what the products are selling, or what what the people want, basically, in products. So one of the most obvious examples is the news. So every news channel out there, or news source on YouTube or anything like that, right now they get polling done to get a feel for how people think about things. So they go to the Angus Reid poll and places like this, and they pay them for data to come up with data for them to use on their programming. And they need this data to fill their airtime and to seem relevant to what's going on today. And so
the point is, they're currently paying for such a service.
Yeah, right now they pay for this data. And when we get our system up and running well, they are going to start using our data, even for free. And even though it may not be them directly, like Angus Reid will use our data to put together their polling, and so they're going to become an analysis company that's going to analyze our data and then be feeding it to the news sources like CNN and Fox News. So those the news state channels are using our data, and we own that data. I mean, we're the ones putting that data in, right? All the users. So it's going to be very easy to make the argument that they should pay us to be using our data. They are making an income by using our data, and that's not fair. And so anyway, I suspect that it should be pretty easy to make the argument that they should be paying us to use our data. And I'm using the news channels because they're the most obvious example, because we're going to see them using that data, and they're feeding it right back to us. We can see them using
on the screen.
It's going to be on the screen. It's going to be extremely obvious. So if we decide at some point that they should be paying us for our data, which I would be encouraging at a certain point.
And when you say we decide, the user base.
The user base, right?
Okay.
So now we have the ability to force them to pay us for our data. And so it's by collective action. So everybody, all the users on our system are pretty much going to be in agreement that they should be paying us.
That's what we're expecting. Yeah.
That's what this is. This is just an assumption on my part.
Yeah,
but
meaning
I think
we're not controlling it, but we're
Yeah.
expecting that's what users are going to do.
Yeah, exactly. And it seems like a pretty obvious thing that they're going to want to do, considering it's their data being used. So, and as we all know, data is money. And then so, anyway, so we'll eventually start pressuring the news channels to pay us some kind of a tax or a fee for the data that they're getting through our system. And we can boycott a station. You know, we might decide to we're all going to boycott CNN for a week or a month if they don't decide to pay the tax. And that's going to pressure them. You know, we'll get our news sources elsewhere for a short period of time. But if we can get enough people within our system to promise that they are going to boycott a specific news channel. And I'd like to point out one other thing, though. In our system, like I've tried to organize things online before, try to get a march together, different protests, things like this. On average, people on the internet will tell you they will be there, and you are very lucky if you get 10%. Very, very lucky. You might
have better numbers. Yeah, 3% is good.
Yeah, you're lucky if you're getting like 3%. Sometimes if you're only getting 1% of the people that promise they're going to be there, they don't show up. The point being, though, that in our system, everybody, if I say I'm going to be there, and I'd say that as an anonymous statement, well, you can be pretty sure I'm probably not going to be there. But if I say I'm going to be there, and I say I'm Brian Charlebois, I live at this address, and this is where, you know, fucking, I've given you all my information, and I'm saying I will be there, then I think you can be a lot more certain that I will be there.
What are we talking about? What do you mean by be there? What's the example of be there? You mean like the boycott concept?
Yes. So if I promise that I'm not going to watch CNN News for 1 week, and I put my name and my address and everything on that opinion that I'm not going to do that, and I'm saying that on the internet, I think that you could trust more that I will do that, right? That I'm going to do what I say.
So like the user base would be like planning a boycott, and we'd be getting the information of who's on board before we actually commit the action.
Exactly.
Which is what they do now in like, well, before this, and maybe you should talk about it now. This is sort of like what a union does.
Yes. Yeah. I like to think of this as we're going to create the world's biggest union, and it's going to make it much easier to do collective action. So, and what you know, somebody had pointed out, I think somebody had pointed out the Bud Light thing there that happened there a while ago, where, you know, all the conservatives were saying they're not going to buy Bud Light, and they were trying to have a collective action against it. But at the same time, all the liberals are going, well, I'm going to buy twice as much Bud Light just to spite them, right? Well, that kind of a collective action is not going to work, because you got half the people on one side and half the people on the other. So it equals one another out, and Bud Light hardly saw any change, right? So anyway, the point being, in our scenario that we're talking about here, our users, almost none of them are going to be on the side of CNN. Almost none of them are going to be going, no, we should give the free information. I want to give my free information to them and let them use it however they want. So it's going to be very easy for us to have a collective action where 90% of the people are on one side of this collective action. That makes it far more poignant, far more destructive to the company. It will actually affect them.
So the idea is, once the first, let's say in your example, it was CNN that we did it to.
Yeah.
And then they said, okay, we'll start paying. Now that makes it easier for us to get the other ones to pay.
That's right. Yeah. Once they see that happen, either they're going to volunteer, or we're just going to have to threaten that we're going to do it to them next. And I'm sure that they'll fall in line and start paying some kind of tax.
We're not really sure, but that's the theory now, and that's the only way we can think of making money.
Yeah. Yeah. But the fact is, this is all of our data. And so It's a big deal right now. People are very upset about different companies using our data right now,
where we get nothing out of it, and they're just
and we get nothing out of it.
They're manipulating the shit out of it.
Yeah. So, this is already a big topic, and I suspect it's going to be even a bigger topic in the future. And we as individuals are going to be pissed if we're not starting to see some actual return on our all of our data that we're allowing all these corporations and everybody to use. So anyway, I really believe it won't be very difficult to get some real strong collective action against these corporations.
So that's like a news organization.
We'll start with the easy.
What about like a McDonald's? How would this work on like a McDonald's?
Yeah, well, all industries will be using our data, and the employees within those industries will be very quick to actually rat out how an industry actually uses our data. So it won't be extremely obvious how McDonald's is using our data, but they will be. I mean, they're going to be.
It'll be obvious on our side. Our API knows all the information. Our system is logging all the requests of data from all the corporations.
I don't know if that'll be that easy. Ask your
Tom. Isn't that a straightforward task?
I mean, I think our data is just coming from someone who's just typing that or entering that information.
And also, I just like to point out that it's even though they may look at data, it doesn't mean that they were actually using it. They may look at it and say that's not usable. So
we only know they actually looked through our data. We don't know they actually used it.
Exactly, but I think that as we go, it'll become, like I said, we start with the news organizations. That's obvious. We can see our data being used. Next, we'll move on to other companies that seem very obvious that they're using our data. I'm not thinking of any examples right now, but I'm sure, like I don't know, car companies. Just finding out what people are talking about cars and their opinions they're putting out about cars. Right? They're going to look at that data. And it's going to reflect how they produce the next car, based on the information they're getting through our data. So anyway, the point being, though, that it will become more and more obvious as time goes on. And there will be companies like in a car company saying, I access that information all the time and I'm using it all the time. And they're going to tell us about it because they're also a user of our data. They're one of the people putting the data in, too. Right. And they also work for the corporation. So I think there will be a lot of people within corporations that will be, basically telling us about how corporations are using the data. So in other words, eventually I'd see us, in my mind, I think all industries should have to pay us a tax. I cannot envision any industry that will not be using some of our data, in some regard or another.
And to be clear, Tom, if you're thinking about this already, the politicians and governments are using our data too, but we don't want to charge them because that would be like taxing ourselves because they're paid by our tax money.
Yeah.
I see. Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
We definitely want them to have that information, and that's vital.
So I just thought of something, guys. So the AI bots that users use in general, or at least the way I'm thinking about it now, it hooks in through our API, and that's how they talk. And that has to be a registered account. It cannot be the anonymous thing. Because for an API, it has to be all registered, for safety reasons and shit.
Right.
Which means we can. That means the anonymous users cannot have access to our data.
Well, we should be able to have a way that we can erase that as soon as they're done or something, because we want to offer the ability to have 100% on.
No, I think you're thinking of the opposite side of things. There's input of the data, and yes, anonymous people can do that, double anonymous.
Yeah,
but that double anonymous account can't access all the data. It can input data, but it can't access the data.
Yeah,
because the only way to access data, you have to have a registered account.
I don't know.
Otherwise, you're not going to be able to have a control over businesses using the information.
Well, I'm not planning on controlling that. That's what I'm saying.
I don't think that's an issue, Ed.
Well, no. What I was meaning is into paying for the information, because they can go the free routes to get all that information. We're not going to get.
Yeah, but I think there's a deeper technical issue, and Tom can answer this, which is if we have if somebody's hooking into our system unregistered, there's no way the API would work with it, right, Tom?
Unless you make the API public, but that's dangerous because they may pull all our data and put it in their database.
Well, why is that bad? Brian C, is that a bad thing?
I don't know.
If someone took all the data we have,
and they could do it every day, pull all our data and put it in their
they can
data.
turn around and make it their own private profit.
Yeah, but I don't see how I don't see how that would benefit them at all. Because why save our data when they can just come back and get it the next day and come back and get it the next day? They always have access to it. So why does it benefit them?
Oh, like if they're trying to make their own competing system.
Maybe they're doing some, process to our data. I mean, transfer the data to information, and they claim this is their own info because it's not identical to our data, but honestly, they took the main part of our data and converted it to something can be sold or something.
Yeah, I don't see the value to it because, like everybody, how do you sell to somebody when they can get the data directly from us anyway?
Well, okay, so let me say it this way. Maybe this will break it open. Let's say there's another guy just like you who likes what we're doing. And they're like, but I don't agree with you guys. I'm going to make a better system. And he makes a system just like ours, but that system also steals our data.
I just don't see how anybody could build a better system. Why would they want to do it?
If it has more data than ours, it has their own data plus our data. That's better than having only our data.
Yeah, but I don't see them
stealing their data.
Yeah, but I don't see how they could do it unless they did it. Like a big reason why our system, I suspect people are going to want to use our system, is because it is so transparent and trustworthy.
Yeah, suppose they did that too.
Well, if they do that, then it's the same system. Why would they build a competing system? And then our system is free.
Let's say somebody doesn't like you.
Yeah.
They agree with everything you say.
But Brian,
then all they have to do is come and take over this thing. I'll let them take this thing over. They can have it.
And that still might not happen. I get the idea that, by the way, Tom, real clear, if we find out somebody's already doing this and they're further along than us, and they got all the same principles and all the same ideas, we would just stop this and join them.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
But by the way, this is not free. I mean, I don't know. I look at the system as different point of view. This is a lot of money. I don't think it's cheap.
Yeah.
So
we're talking like, by the way, to get started, let's throw a number out. Are we talking like $2 million?
I have to do. I'm not sure about that unless I have to do some estimate. I mean, I will go and check that. But so it's not like we don't. Oh, someone took it. Okay, it's fine. Bye. Take our system. It's not.
Well, right now we've only spent $13, but yeah, once we've spent $4 million, then we would be concerned about that. Yeah.
Yeah, but I just can't see a scenario where somebody would want to copycat us that wouldn't actually want to just join us. I just can't see that scenario.
But okay, so let me present it from the other way around. What do we gain by letting anonymous users have access to all our data where they can just copy it to their, if they have a system, to theirs? What's the advantage of letting that be open?
Well, the advantage I see to letting that be open is that we are giving the appearance of being very, very open, and that we're not hiding anything. And
but you can make a registered account, and you do have access to it that way.
Yeah.
Isn't that open enough?
Maybe it is. Maybe it is. This is a little bit beyond me on the technical side here. I don't know what's really required there, but I'm like I said, I just don't see a problem with anybody stealing anything. If it's easier for us to have it open, I think we should have it open. If it's all the same thing, then probably not, right? But
okay, so let's leave this as an open question. We got to figure out.
Yeah.
Moving on. Unless Tom, you have more questions about that.
No, I'm good.
Okay. So we said before, no censorship. We don't want to delete ideas, but we do want to prevent doxing or threats of violence. Very clear threats of violence, similar to what the law says already about these kind of things.
Mhm.
You know, like you can't make a credible threat, a very specific credible threat about the president. And if you do, you go to jail just for threatening it. And there's lots of variations like that around, like even like domestic violence. If you say, I'm gonna kill you or something, that's illegal, right? Even though you didn't commit an act of violence yet, they still treat it as violence. I'm not sure I'm saying that right, but
I know what you mean.
huh?
I think I know what you mean.
Oh,
There is like there should be like a big disclaimer before he start using this he has to check or say yes.
yeah.
I agree.
But now let's think of the technical aspect. Doxing, it sounds to me that a computer program can easily recognize this, but I could see plenty of ways where people can get around the computer's ability to recognize doxing. So, which means humans have to then be involved also in identifying and then also judging that something really was doxing, and then the human deletes it.
Yeah, it'll have to be a reported system. Somebody that when somebody reports an issue.
There is, I think, there is a site called, I don't know, Cyber Agent something. They have an API that can detect doxing and prevent it automatically. It's keep monitoring the web and alert you if there is some information appears to be, on any known.
So that's like saying every submission that gets made in our system, there's an API call to that other service to check if it's doxing.
Yeah.
And then if it is, our system flags it and let's say doesn't publish it yet.
Exactly.
And then it flags it for a human, one of us, some kind of person working for KAOS.
Exactly.
Then check it and then manually decide to delete it or show it.
Exactly right. And you have to pay for that. It's called Cyber, I think, Angel or something.
Now, the threats of violence one seems more difficult for me. I don't think an AI would do very good deciding if something was a threat of violence or not.
No, it wouldn't. But the cyber, as I told you, something called, I think even, let me check. It's Cyber.
You can get the name later. We don't need it now.
Cyber Angel. That would, it's a service. You can request a demo, to change it, to test it. Cyber, not RL, Cyber Angel. Yeah. But with L, yeah.
Okay, so that's taken care of with that.
Yeah, but my question about the threats of violence, like
that will detect it as well.
Oh, okay, same thing. Okay.
Yeah, same thing. That's very, very. I think this is number one now on detecting stuff, and it's very responsive. So when you submit, doesn't take a lot of time to give you like yes or no.
Okay, should we go on the next thing?
Yeah, please.
I think so.
I really enjoy what we're doing, but I'm sorry, I have to drop like 9:30. There is someone is coming.
Okay, 12 minutes. All right.
Yeah.
Okay.
The system will flag potential violations before they go live, and moderators. Okay, I already said this part, I guess. Yeah. We haven't talked about this much at all. This is not just English, right?
If you want to make it bigger, should be any language.
And is that an issue at all? Going to
how many languages are there?
Or at least the popular. I mean, by the way, it's also this is part of some services to translate automatically. Because if you're gonna do analysis to the data, you need to translate any language, auto detect the language.
But those translations are not very good. I wouldn't trust any, like, at least today, any systems I've seen. I don't trust them translating my shit into any other language.
I I will tell you something, myself. I mean, coincidentally, I work on this like a few weeks now. That I believe the best translator now on earth is ChatGPT.
Yeah. Well, I was going to ask you about that. Could ChatGPT work in every language?
Yeah, they have a
The main
very
ones,
good. I think they have. I read they have like I'm not sure how many, but they have lots of languages. 27, something like 20s. I don't know. We can look it up.
And it can work smoothly between them. Like if I were to ask it a question, if I were to ask a question, I don't know, about something that would relate to everybody. Anyway, I'm not thinking of a good example here, but it could search through all the different databases under different languages and compare them all to come up with a single answer.
Absolutely. And I just just to correct, it's not 20, it's 80 language. ChatGPT can work with 80 language.
Holy shit, eh? That's amazing. Yeah, well, I think that kind of solves that problem, eh? What do you guys?
Yeah.
Yeah, because I mean, if they're using their own API, or excuse me, their own AI bots, I mean, it should be able to translate it for them based on.
Right.
And you're probably
typing in.
Most of the time, you're not looking for a direct translation. You're going to have a question, and the bot is going to go through all the different languages and give you an answer. It doesn't have to translate every one of those answers. It's just looking for a single answer out of all of them. So it needs to be able to read all the languages, but it doesn't have to directly translate every one to you.
Tom, help me understand the tech part of this. So when somebody puts in a submission, does that mean our system right away automatically is converting that to 80 languages?
No, I mean, when you enter it, you don't have to put it in your own language, but maybe when you query for something, now
so that's the point. It's the user's AI bot that is doing the translations.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. Because it depends if the user.
That's a lot of work.
I mean,
on the computer end, I don't know if it's more work on the KAOS system. I guess it is because it's more. No, it isn't. All the work is on the AI bot.
That's right. Yeah.
ChatGPT charge you for 3 parts. Something very complicated. It's charging you 3 parts. When you ask something, it charges you 3 different prices. The input, and they don't use something called byte. They use something called token, which is similar idea. How big your input? I mean, your question. Let's say your question is 2 pages. Then it charge you for the input size. It charge you for the output size. So maybe the answer is yes or no, or so the output will be small.
Or an essay as a reply. Yeah.
Yeah, and charge you for. I believe even the type of process. If you're if it's
math, it might cost more than if it's biology.
Yeah, exactly. Or if you're saying answer in, I don't know, in Hebrew, in Italian, so charge you for the translation as well. So
that means people's own AI bots will be very limited because they're using a free one.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, they have a limit unless they buy their own, they're paying.
And ChatGPT is going to make a lot of money.
Well, I thought they always, I thought it was just like a monthly fee or something, and you can do whatever you want.
Fee.
Yeah.
Yeah, there is a monthly fee, but they detect, by the way, monthly fee if you do it manually, but if you use API,
it's different.
It's not
charging
it's
structure.
different. So if you're automating this, it's not monthly payment. It's
per instance, per request.
Per request, exactly.
Wow, I didn't know that.
So that means, so let me. I just thought of something. Let's say there's an AI company, like let's say ChatGPT, that decides, oh shit, this KAOS thing is really good. We really want to hook into KAOS, and they develop a package deal for individual users to use our system
as a data source
in a way that makes the price low enough for individual users, but the whole thing is very powerful integration between ChatGPT and KAOS. I could see an AI company doing that.
Well,
you can, yeah, but by the way, ChatGPT, when you ask them about something, and and let's say ChatGPT use our system, ChatGPT will learn. They have something like machine, what they call machine learning, and next time they don't have to use our system because they already they will store our data or whatever they get from our data in their system as their own now.
Yeah, I get what you mean. So an AI bot that decided to work with KAOS very well takes our data but it doesn't have to keep taking our data because it already has it now.
Right. Exactly right. Exactly right.
It just
They
has to
have
refresh with
something
new data.
Exactly. They use something called machine learning, and machine learning their own. If you read their disclaimer, they said, this is our
training?
own now. Yeah. So let me tell you this.
That dramatically decreases the amount of traffic and work that the AI bot has to do. Now, if it's an AI bot that's not connected with KAOS, or they didn't even try to think about KAOS, then it sounds like it would be a brand new request with all the data each time that bot interacts with our system.
Right. But what I see right now, this system is great. I mean, I'm telling you the truth. It's not flattery, What the idea here is perfect, but not like, it's not like a business oriented stuff that you can make a lot of money out of it, to be honest with you. So it's more like a service. You're given more than you're taking. That's my self-opinion.
Yeah, and by the way, Brian C., the way he described it to me a while ago was, when it makes money, the users who own the data are getting the profit.
Yeah.
And of course, we'll have employees, and they'll get an income as an expense to KAOS, but users are making the profit. Users own it.
I see. Yeah.
Not the founder, not the initial people.
Yeah.
I see.
But the users.
Yeah, but once again, I just want to point. I think you were hinting around about how it would make money, like a normal business will make money, but this will make money in the sense that everybody will just pay a tax for you. When I say everybody, I mean corporations and industries will pay a tax for using our data, but at the same time, we're working out exactly how many gigabytes of data they're using or anything like that. It's going to have to just be some kind of so much a month, a blanket tax on all corporations. Maybe some corporations more than another if we've deemed them to be higher usage people, maybe. But
yeah, for sure. But the more they bog down our system, the more they have to pay.
And this is just enforced by our users, by, like I said, threats of collective action if they don't. And also another, when I was talking about a news source or, boycotting CNN, another option could be that somebody in the world sees the way things are trending and decides to put out their own news organization and just pay us the tax, offer it up to us, and then say, why don't everybody come and look at my news and get away from CNN because they don't want to pay the tax. It may not take a collective action. People might be able to see the writing on the wall and just start paying money because they know that they'll get more views, more eyes on their product, because us as users will want to use the companies that are paying us back for using our data, right? So there's going to be a preference in the companies that we as users want to use based off of how generous they are to us, the people they are using the data, taking the data from. I see. So there'll be an incentive there that will help drive more and more money. So I suspect that we should get far more money than what is needed to run the KAOS system, and it'll be up to the users what we do with that money, whether or not we want to actually figure out exactly how much data you're putting in and you get paid by the data you put in, or whether or not we would just want to have it where everybody collects the same amount, like a universal basic income. Personally, that's what I will be voting for, and that's what I will be trying to encourage others to vote for.
Yeah, so the point is, we're not choosing how the profit gets paid out to people, and instead we're letting the users choose that.
Yes. We have to do it democratically amongst our users, just like everything else in this system is done democratically, right?
Yeah. So by the way, it's 9:30.
Yeah. I'm so honored meeting you today, all of you, and
well, thank you for coming. This really helped us a lot.
You're welcome. You're welcome.
And I'm sure we could use more of your help if you're willing.
Yeah,
absolutely. Next week I'll be in Arkansas, with Vader's matching day. But
whenever you're available,
Sunday,
please come on.
I will let you know.
I'm sure the next time we see you, you'll have analyzed this more and you'll have more ideas to tell us.
Absolutely. Yeah. I will do my best.
Yeah.
Okay.
Thank you. You've done a lot to help make us feel more confident in what we're doing. I really appreciate it.
Thank you. You're welcome. Bye-bye.
All right.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
Bye.
Oh, that was great, Rami. Yeah. That was very, very helpful.
I know. I knew it was going to be. I'm getting goosebumps right now. He's known me since I was like 3 years old.
Yeah.
I've known him, well, I guess in my adult life, he moved into the US, 2000? So 25 years of us, and he's only like half hour away from me. We talk a lot all the time. I've always tried to like start some kind of software company with him. Never really worked out. But that's a failure on my end, not his end.
Yeah.
The businessman side. So so what else do we got? We got maybe half an hour if you guys want. What do we got left to talk about?
Well, I've got kind of an idea dealing with the software. I finally got my software to fire up properly.
You mean for the logo?
Well, not for the logo, for the website.
Oh.
Okay.
So give me just a second here. I'm going to share the screen. Okay. So, all right. So if it comes up here, I guess I'm waiting on your end to accept.
It's telling me I have to remove mine in order to add yours.
There we go. So this is the back end of what it's looking like.
Joomla?
Yeah, of Joomla. This is part of the back end, as you can see. I mean, you can go down here and do exactly, how many characters can be in the text field. Let me get over here so I can see this a little bit better. There we go. Whoops, wrong button. There we go. And then I've got a whole bunch of options, but if I go over here to the main field itself, I mean, this is our back end. This is the back end I'd see all the time. Now, to give an idea of what everyone on the front end will see.
So, by the way, remember, this is small for me to see. It's even smaller for Brian C to see.
No, I zoomed it in. I can zoom it with my fingers now.
I can't do anything about that because it's the StreamYard that's decreasing the size.
No, I can see it. It's fine.
Okay. But I'm going to, excuse me, kill this one real quick. I'm going to bring up the front end. Now, remember, this just has random temporary information. It's not exactly how I'm seeing it. So this gives you an idea of what we're looking at here. I mean, let me get over onto it again. There we go. As you can see, I mean, we can put all sorts of information in here, different modules, images, videos. We can put it all in.
Yeah.
And over here,
Does it work
on the
really
site.
well with mobile?
Yes, it does.
Seamless between mobile and desktop. Okay.
It should be. I mean, Brian, you can see how your screen's looking better than I can.
Well, I don't know if it'll
But-
be this. You're feeding it through this feed though, so I
Yeah,
don't know
he's
if it'll
still
be the
seeing it
same.
as a desktop.
Yeah.
yeah. So you're seeing the desktop. I don't have a way to show the mobile at the moment. The only difference is the side over here where it says main menu, and that's going to disappear.
Yeah.
It'll be a menu across the
a
top.
3-dot link thing. Yeah.
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 But
The
other
point
than
is,
that-
from last time I looked, 70% of my blog users are mobile.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Yeah.
30% is desktop.
Joomla works well on mobile, just like WordPress does. It automatically parses it all into the mobile layout. So I don't have to do any coding. No one has to do any specific keys when they're putting information in to see it one way or the other.
Yeah, you're
It's
putting
gonna be
information in once, and it's setting up for both desktop and mobile without you having to edit each one.
Exactly. So it works just fine that way.
The old way, you had to make basically 2 websites, right?
Yeah. You had it was all on one server, but you had one website for
Desktop.
the desktop. You had
and
one
one for mobile.
website for the mobile. Now they're all combined where they do it
Yeah.
automatically.
And it's
you.
really seamless.
Yeah. Then of course, it's got the database system on it and things like that. I mean, I can take this we could scale this up to hundreds of thousands of terabytes of information.
We don't need that much, but yeah. So if we're done with that, the thing that seems highest priority last time I talked to Brian C was the essay. Do you?
Yeah.
Brian, did you write those things?
I looked at it and I wrote it a little bit, but I haven't done it. I'm far from done yet. I just haven't really had enough time.
And if you want, you can email me that or email it to all of us, and we can try to give input.
Yeah. There's a couple other areas I want to touch on, but I added a couple things. I'm trying to put in a little bit about unions. I really think that's actually an angle that I should pursue, that we need to pursue more, is tying us into being like a union, like a worldwide union, and a platform for collective action. I'm really making a focus. It's a platform that allows for higher levels of collective action, and in the same way that we're going to pressure companies to pay us a tax, we're going to be able to pressure industry to do a lot of things, and increase wages and things like this. If we want to, if the nurses are protesting and they need stronger, we all think they should be paid more. Well, then there's certain things that we might be able to do to help them to get a higher wage, and to help different industries get up to a better standard of living. If they can appeal to the wider audience of the world, that just like the coffee growers. People buy certain coffees now just because they think that coffee growers should be paid decently, right? Anyway, if we start working on different industries and focusing on them, we should be able to get. So, in other words, we will be able to do a lot of what unions used to be able to do, and so
I really want to put that into the first essay now.
Yes, I'm trying to work that in a little bit into the first essay. And make this a unions are very well thought of, even on the right. There are unions. There's a give and take with them. We know that there's issues with unions too, but that should not. The problems that unions have had in the past were that they were too small and too isolated.
Narrow.
The police,
narrow in one industry,
yeah, and like the police union. Now, police officers are very conservative, and they tend to vote, very far on the right. But yet, they're very unionized. They have one of the strongest unions you will find are police unions and firefighting unions and stuff like this, right? They are very strong, very strong with their unions, and but too powerful. Like It's within these unions that they've got control over hiring and promotion. And here in my own city, I was involved with a protest to actually remove some power from the police union. And we were successful in doing that here in our city. They promoted to the highest, to the police chief of the downtown branch of the police department was a guy who was the son of the ex-police chief from long ago of the whole city. And anyway, because he had so much connections within the union, right? He was able to get himself into this position, despite the fact that he had numerous cases in the past of him being a really bad police officer. There was one case where he tasered a guy 11 times that was passed out at the time. The guy passed out in the car, and he's trying to wake him up with a taser. And he's tasing him repetitively, and the officer himself admitted that he tased him at least 11 times. So in other words, he probably tased him like 20, 30 times. He almost killed the guy. Like, he could have very easily killed him. Anyway, that's the kind of guy they made as a police chief of downtown, and we all protested this. And a lawyer got on our side, and he managed to get a law changed with everybody's agreement, because the police agreed to it too, because we were making such a stink. They wanted to get away from this, right? And so we promised we'd stop making such a stink, and this guy kept his position. But we made it so that the mayor, at this point, before this, the mayor of our city had no say in who the police chief was. And the union decided who the next police chief would be. And that's weird that the union decides positions. But that's how powerful the police unions are, right?
But they backed off since then.
Well, no, they got a law now that the mayor has a veto. He can
so the
veto.
Government forced it onto the union, basically making the whatever bad aspect the union has or could have, they fixed it.
They fixed it because of our protesting. Our protesting led to that. And that was the only reason the police union gave in, because otherwise we were not going to stop, and we were going to push until this guy
Well,
was
I mean,
pushed out of
they
his
didn't
position.
even have to give in, right? Because the law forced it.
Yeah, well, they put in a law, yeah. But the union, I think, could have fought that law. I think they already had a position where they had full power. They don't want to give that up unless there's a reason, and the reason was, like I said, because the mayor did not want to make this guy the police chief, because he was getting all this flack from everybody, right? And so he wanted to. So anyway, we managed to change the law in our city so that the mayor can now veto any candidate that the union puts up. Anyway, this is just an example of how unions go bad. But that's because that union is so small and so tight-knit. And so, families have connections within the unions, and they've been in the police force for generations, and they get all this power, right? And so anyway, a larger union like we have, it's impossible for somebody to get that kind of power, right? I'm not saying the bigger the union, less power, because the Teamsters obviously had that problem too. The Teamsters were famous for the mob took over the Teamsters and ran the Teamsters. And Jimmy Hoffa, yes, yes. And so anyway, but the fact though, if the police union were tied in with the Teamsters union, then that becomes almost impossible, right? And then if the Teamsters and the nurses unions tied in there too, and now that makes for a bigger group, right? And so the nurses union doesn't want to allow the police chief to be picked from the family, and everything else. That's not going to work in a union of unions, right? This solves a lot of the corruption problems unions have, right? That's the point I'm trying to make, right? So yeah, if we build one big union, we won't have those corruption problems, and the majority of our users are laborers. I mean, the biggest proportion of the world are people that are doing labor, doing service work, the workers. It's the workers of the world. So obviously, in this, even though we will accept everybody in our union, even executives will be able to, but they only get their one vote, right? And so obviously we're going to have a lot more power going to the working class, right? So anyway, I really think tying unions in, I think unions generally have a pretty good reputation. It's very well recognized right now that unions have lost a lot of their power. And even people like Steve Bannon talk about this, that unions don't have any more power anymore, right? And so the working class are suffering for this, right? So
how
anyway,
is it that unions lost some of their power? Is it more laws that decrease their power, or something else?
I think the biggest factor is that all of our lives got so much better from unions, but unions extract cost, and we realized we got that lifestyle without paying the cost. So most of us, like I have only worked a small portion of my life for a union, but I understand that I only got a weekend and a 40-hour work week because of unions, right? So they've already solved some of those problems, the bigger ones for us. And now I can work someplace, make a little more by not having to pay a union fee, right? And plus, I can also,
I think I get what you're saying. They lost a little bit of power because people got sort of happy with the current scenario and stopped contributing to the unions.
Yes.
Financially and otherwise.
Yes. Unions need people. They need the people paying in, right? So, like, I was just working for a union shop, and here's another thing though that has happened to unions. Businesses took advantage of the whole concept. So here, there's a union called, I think it's called CLAC, and it's a union that gets a lot of its power through the corporations. I don't know how it was put together, but it's not a very powerful union. And I was also part of another union. It wasn't this one, and they didn't seem to have any real power either. And it's because they don't have enough of the workforce, first of all, to be able to do a collective action with all welders, because all the welders aren't on the same union, right? And there's like 2-3 unions, right, around here that work in different industries. So, and some in the same industries. So, anyway, by dividing things up this way and stuff, it makes it so it's very, very, they don't have as much power, right? And this has been done very strategically by industries. So, in other words, when there was a push for unions, somebody put together a union that was not so threatening to industries, right? At that point,
with the more threatening
to compete with the other unions,
fucking
right?
assholes.
So then they got more. They got an easier into certain industries, right? Because they were a lighter, like a union light, right? But that also meant that they weren't going to push for so much for higher wages and everything else, right? And then people still think that's a union, right? So they vote for that because they want a union.
Using that logic, somebody or head of a country somewhere might say, "Oh shit, chaos is a threat. Let's make another competing chaos just to weaken chaos and to not really do anything."
Yes.
And hopefully by that time we're already strong enough where it's not going to affect us.
Yeah, hopefully. This is absolutely. This is my I've been thinking about this a long time. I've been thinking about this before Twitter, right? And at that time, when I saw Twitter coming on, if they would have just tweaked it a little bit, they could have done a lot of what we're doing here. That wasn't their focus, though. But anyway, I was worried that there would be places that would start accepting, like, basically opinions like we are, and be more focused on trying to assist in governing, right? But with some controls, right? But there would be a bunch of different competing ones. And so very much like we have Twitter, we have Facebook, and we have TikTok, and we have all these different things. Right now, people can put opinions on all of these things. But it's really hard for us to figure out what the overall opinion is amongst everybody, because it is divided up into all these different places, and they're on such different formats and such different ways that you place these opinions, how they're upvoted and things like this. Reddit is so different to Facebook, liking and so is different than karma and all the rest of this, right? So it makes it hard. We cannot put all that information together to get an actual reading of what the opinion is.
I would say all that's bad, but the worst part of it is the censorship.
Yeah. So but the point is, though, people do this type of thing, like industries, like if somebody actually thought this was a threat, they may try to build exactly the same thing as close as they can and get it so that there are competitors, because then it becomes harder, and make it just slightly different. And then so that it makes it harder to get accurate information, right? Well, yes, if it's the same thing as the conservatives right now, they're just pumping out, Trump is going as hard as he can, putting out all these new proposals and stuff, and we're going to take Greenland and fuck Canada and tariffs everywhere, and then on top of that, no more trans stuff and no more of this stuff, and he's throwing it all at everybody all at once, because it just confuses everybody, and nobody can doubt. It's hard to get a reading of what the public is thinking on this. It makes it almost impossible for any polling company to get a reading on what Trump wants on any specific thing, because there's just so much going on, right?
Oh yeah, I was just reading an article this morning talking about how a lot of people are sitting there going about how chaotic his presidency is this time.
Yeah, and they're doing that on purpose. And so anyway, people that don't want the truth out there and don't want to actually know what the opinion of the people is, they want to make it as chaotic as possible. So to them, it's good to have all these different. Anyway, the point being that it was my prime focus was to have one place all opinions come to. There cannot be 3 different places. There cannot be 5 different places. That will screw us up hugely. I see in the long run, when we talk about the big brain, that the world is going to create this big brain, and we all have to be working off of the same database. There cannot be 3, 4, 5 different databases. Trying to put that all together now is so much work that we eliminate all that work by having one database, right? Mm-hmm. But the problem with one database is control. If anybody has any kind of control in there, so that's why I put so much focus on no controls. One database, no controls. And that is the way to, it has to be. As far as I can see, that's the way it has to be. There's no way we can have, Facebook start collecting opinions, and Twitter start collecting opinions, and TikTok start collecting opinions. If they all start doing that, it's going to fuck us up, and it's going to really screw up our progress forward.
You mean if those existing social medias start acting like us with no censorship? That's what you mean?
Well, with less, or even if with the censorship, the main point is that if people start using, some people are on one system, some people are on another system, some people are on another system, and some are doing both, and some are doing all 3. How do you figure out what the overall opinion is of the world, right? It makes it almost impossible. And right. So anyway, I don't know. Maybe I got off track here, but the main point being that's why I'm so I've gotten a lot of flack that I'm incorporating to get around the whole biases within search engines and within bots is the fact that we use many and that we get to choose which ones, right? When it comes to the database, though, there is no option for that, and so we need just one place for that. Anyway,
basically have a central repository of information.
Yeah, but I'm just wanting to emphasize that many of them would be a problem. It has to be one. So what got me onto that subject? I can't remember.
It was, well, I had asked you, do you want to add what have you worked on adding stuff to the essay? And then you said you want to add.
Oh yeah. Yes. So yeah,
You're still working on it. That's cool.
Yeah, unions. I'm emphasizing unions. Anyway, I think
another conception to do is, and this is what I told you before. If you imagine, and my terminology is, if you imagine the first essay as in the first essay somebody sees, you can have multiple first essays, and then the second essay is what they see second. So the first essay leads them to the second essay, but multiple first essays could lead them to that same second essay. Maybe you have a first essay that is mainly just on unions, to speak to the union type people. Because, to be clear, if you write this essay and you put in unions, and then somebody like me who doesn't know shit about unions, it won't have any effect on me.
Yeah. Well, you have to have a look at what I wrote, because I'm not that. I'm just hinting at it, and
you could do both. You could add in the union concept in your first essay that you're working on now, and then make a second first essay that is mostly about unions.
Yeah, I see what
detail, and it has less of the other stuff, of course.
Actually, I see where you're coming from exactly, and because a lot of times, if I'm trying to come at a certain group of people from a certain angle. And another time, I'm trying to come at another group of people from a different angle.
You might make one essay that is all about the non-zero sum concept and nothing about noosphere or unions, because let's say some of those people don't know anything. By the way, I knew non-zero sum before I met you, but I never heard of noosphere.
Yeah,
I was in the same boat. I've heard of zero sum, but I've never heard of the noosphere.
Yeah, that's another one. I'm going to add another line or two about the noosphere in that essay too. I think people need a little more of an understanding. I think just a comparison between that. I think what explains it very well that I have not put in there is that we have the biosphere. Everybody understands that one, right? These days people talk about the technosphere, and which is very similar, just all the technology in the world. And both of those kind of overlap when we talk about the noosphere, and the noosphere just being all the technology that has to do with communication, plus all the information that we individuals have, and
even all technology is part of the noosphere. It's all human knowledge, which includes all communication technology and all technology.
Yeah, but there's like a Venn diagram between those.
Sure.
So anyway, but I think the concept becomes clear when you first think about the biosphere, the technosphere, just mentioning those three together, and then saying the noosphere as all knowledge. And anyway, I think just a quick that one line will help.
You might have one essay that is more focused on speaking to the people that are scientific minded and they care about how science progresses, and then you can hook into that knowledge to tell them how important chaos is.
Well, that one that overlaps with. I want to actually. I was thinking I need a specific essay for. I follow the technocracy subreddit, and in the past I haven't been delving into it much lately, but in the past I've gotten very deep into it with some of these people, because technocracy, is the idea that the smart people in the world should be running the world, right? But there's one area that they miss that I think is a glaring example. I mean, there's a glaring example with Elon Musk. You would think that he's a fairly technical guy and an engineer, and be thinking on engineering level and everything, but he's nuts. Everybody, any, you could look at anybody in any specific realm. I can tell you where Anthony Fauci is nuts. And some people will think that different areas he's nuts in different areas than what I think. But anyway, there's certain areas that he is. Everybody is nuts in one area or another, including myself, right? And that doesn't, because you're a great scientist and building rockets, does not mean that you should be actually running the entire rocketing industry and everything that goes with it, and how much funding should go where.
If anything, I would say it's the opposite. It should be other people. So I guess I'm against technocracy altogether.
Yeah, but I like to think that in a way, and merit. The other thing people talk about is merit, and they like to talk about how our system that way, America's system is a merit-based system. which it's not at all, but not very much at all. This is where I like to think of it just the same way that we have democratized how we use our. It's up to us what bots we're going to use or what search engine we're going to use in our system. It's also the same thing that we also get to decide who the smart people are. So, so we are influenced by the smart people that then influence our vote. And every single person is making those choices for themselves. And you know where I was talking about if I have some, a scientist, like in the past when I thought Elon was smarter and he hadn't shown his crazy side, I might have wanted to, follow his whatever he's voting on, right? And the same thing with, some other people. There's certain things. What's his name there? Robert Wright there in foreign affairs. I would almost go with almost everything he says in foreign affairs. Almost, be pretty close to thinking the same way that I think in foreign affairs. Right? I really like his thinking in that area. So anyway, he would want to be voting on things. I would want to probably copy him a lot. And so anyway, the point being that I'm picking my own experts. I'm picking that influence my vote. And every other single person is doing that as well. And then the politician, when he's going to look at all the information that's out there, and he's using his own AI, he's picking through there, and he's going to put more merit towards the people that are scientists and the people that tend to follow scientists. If he thinks that scientists are correct, he may not, right? But if you think that the scientist is correct in this area in general, and he also really likes, or in foreign policy, if he also really likes what Robert Wright is saying on foreign policy, he's going to put more merit there, right? And then the same with the people that tend to follow him as well. So his bot is none of us are looking at all the voting and saying they're all equal, right? First of all, we're going to eliminate, like I said, in most instances, we're going to eliminate anything that's probably anonymous, right? Or even single or double anonymous. We're probably, in most scenarios, we're not even going to look at that information. We're doing our own filtering, right? And we're going to filter it down. We're also our AIs are going to help us decide whose votes have more value than others. And that influences us as individuals. But that also influences whoever's making the decisions. They are not looking at all the voting equally. They are looking at them all with slightly tainted, right? And their bot, because they've trained their bot, if they're more scientifically thinking and they really like the way these certain scientists think, they're going to put more weight on their decisions plus everybody else, right? And they're going to come to their conclusions on what their idea of a proper merit system is, right? And what their idea of a proper technocracy system is. They're figuring that out for themselves. You and I now, we're voting for that politician, and we're going to see how they vote on things. And if it's not the way we like, well, we might not want them in that position anymore. We might want to vote them out. So he's weighing it in two ways. He's weighing that information as how people are going to look at how he saw that information and how he sees that information, right? So anyway, my point is, though, that merit is going to play heavily into this, and the idea that you do want the experts as much as you can. But we all know, like I said, experts can be a little bit crazy and everything like that. So we're not always going to be taking that verbatim, what they're saying. And we're taking a large variety, so that eliminates for a lot of that, too. So, I don't know. Am I explaining this correctly?
Yeah, I think so. Yeah.
Yeah. So,
but I gotta go, and Ed has to go too. Edward has to go too.
Okay.
Yeah.
The point being, though, that there is a lot of meritocracy in this. There's a lot of technocracy in this. I would like to argue with the technocratic people to tell them that yes, you will have more value in the scientific area if you're a scientist in our system, right? We will all look at those people as having more value, right? So it's getting a little bit closer to their technocracy, right? All right, guys.
All right.
All right.
See you next week.
Yeah,
Thank you.
You're going to be sending out invites, Rami?
I haven't done it yet. I forgot. I should have done it while we were talking, but I'll do it soon.
Okay,
Excellent.
I'll just keep an eye out for him. No problem. I just wanted to remind you.
Okay.
All right,
Thanks a
have
lot.
good day, guys.
Have a good week, you guys. Bye.
You too.